I see people like Bill O'Reilly on television, right? And I see how much they control the media. Like there's this girl on Bill O'Reilly the other night from an organization saying the world can't wait. And this girl was spot on. Everything she was saying was the truth. And all Bill O'Reilly could do was call her a lunatic.
This is your version of democracy. You think this is what the country should be.
They speak all the time. The voices that are not heard are the voices talking about the war crimes that are being committed in our names right now. The fact that because of the U.S. occupation of Iraq, hundreds of thousands of Iraqi people's lives have been destroyed, people have been killed, torture has been committed and legalized.
Okay, but look.
These things are not being discussed the way they should.
Ms. Taylor, that's your opinion, okay? And you're entitled under the Constitution to your opinion.
But those are facts.
No, they're not facts. You are a lunatic.
You're
a lunatic. And if you weren't a lunatic, 90% of America would agree with you. You're a lunatic.
You couldn't challenge the facts. They just call people names.
The people who actually turn off their TV and research the claims will find that 9/11 was an inside job. I mean, the stock put options on United Airlines days before the 11th, the NORAD drills, the Project for a New American Century report rebuilding America's defenses, calling for a quote-unquote new Pearl Harbor.
They create a situation where if you tell the truth, you're considered a lunatic. You know, in other words, if someone goes on a TV show and says 9/11's an inside job, oh, you're an idiot, you're crazy. They call you names. You can't be afraid of that.
Hey, how are you, Alan? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could discuss the insider trading issues if there were no advance warnings about 9/11, Sean.
That 9/11, what, it was imploded by the government, Alan?
You got it, my friend. Operation Northwood's declassified plan where our government planned terrorism against this country, Sean. How do you explain that, Sean?
I know. I just can't. You know what, George Bush...
Because the government's completely
Hang on a second.
gone...
I'm agreeing with George Bush did it. George Bush and Dick Cheney.
Sure, they're Skull and Bones.
Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones did it.
Members. He's a Bilderberg pawn. He's an Illuminati member.
I mean, why do you think 9/11 happened and then nothing's happened since then? Do you think that our security is so great here that these people who pulled off 9/11, who were able to, can't knock down another plane? Come on, it's ridiculous.
Our government cares about us, and that is why we are over in Iraq and soon to be Iran, fighting for freedom.
9/11 is the beginning of the war on terror. That war on terror is leading us into Iraq, which is the next lie. So you had the lie of 9/11, how that happened. Nobody knows how Building 7 came down.
Sir, can you explain why or how World Trade Center 7 collapsed? World Trade Center 7? What the heck is that?
The biggest smoking gun then and now is WTC 7. How can anyone watch it without some kind of a psyop or verbiage accompanying it and not look at that and say, hey, that building was just demolished?
Any intelligent person knows that World Trade Center 7 fell down from an internal fire.
Okay, we know 9/11 was a fraud.
No matter how much our inert public wants to avoid this, it's eating away. It's willful denial, willful ignorance. It's eating away at the underbelly of America. And we aren't going to solve our problems by ignoring 9/11.
Listen here, I don't know what you're trying to prove, kid, but you had better just not talk about it. It's un-American, and I condemn you for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, a King 4 News special emergency bulletin. Apparently, someone has uncovered video footage of the BBC archives. This newly released footage clearly shows a reporter from the BBC reporting the collapse of World Trade Center 7 30 minutes before it actually did. Just to let you know, the World Trade Center 7 was also known as the Salomon Brothers building.
Now, more on the latest building collapse in New York. You might have heard a few moments ago I was talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing. And indeed it has. Apparently that's only a few hundred yards away from where the World Trade Center towers were. And it seems that this was not a result of a new attack. It was because the building had been weakened. during this morning's attacks. We'll probably find out more now about that from our correspondent, Jane Stanley. Jane, what more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers building and its collapse?
Well, only really what you already know. Details are very, very sketchy. There's almost a sense downtown in New York behind me, down by the World Trade Centers, of just an area completely closed off as the rescue workers try to do their job. But this isn't the first building that has suffered as a result. We know that part of the Marriott Hotel next to the World Trade Center also collapsed as a result of this huge amount of falling debris from 110 floors of the two twin towers of the World Trade Center. As you can see behind me, the Trade Center appears to be still burning. We see these huge clouds of smoke and ash, and we know that behind that there's an empty piece of what was a very familiar New York skyline, a symbol of the financial prosperity of this city, but completely disappeared now, and New York is still unable to take on board what has happened to them today.
Presumably there were very few people in the Salomon building when it collapsed. I mean, there were, I suppose, fears of possible further collapses around the area.
That's what you would hope, because this whole downtown area behind me has been completely sealed off and evacuated, apart from the emergency workers. That was done by the mayor, Rudy Giuliani, much earlier today, because of course, the dreadful collapse of the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center. But New York...
What is going on? This must be a coincidence. We are going to get to the bottom of this.
Oh, say, can you see? What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming.
Our government cares about us.
Let us never tolerate outrageous conspiracy theories concerning the attacks of September the 11th. Malicious lies that attempt to shift the blame away from the terrorists themselves, away from the guilty.
So gallantly streaming, and the rugged traveler,
This whole war on terror is a fraud. It's a farce.
Either you are with us, or you are with the terrorists.
Find the